Hey everybody, Games with Chin here, and we are here to do an accessibility review for Biomutant by THQ Nordic. Now, I'm not going to discuss the game itself in terms of story or anything like that. I am going to talk about the controls, the accessibility, and from a range of motion standpoint, and not hearing or vision impaired, because I don't have that disability, so I don't feel it would be fair for me to comment on something like that. So, first off, I want to say I am incredibly impressed because Biomutant not only allows you to remap your controls, it allows you to remap every single button. I'm talking even as far as to what each analog stick can do. Now, I am a very big uh, advocate, I guess, on legacy sticks, because for people who can't navigate two analog sticks simultaneously, this gives the ability to make your character move forward and backwards and turn using one analog stick. And this is huge, incredibly huge. And not many games tend to utilize that. So this was a very nice breath of fresh air to see. Very nice. Um, there's not a lot in terms of what I can say negatively about the accessibility, because they allow you to customize everything. There are, however, um, they need to add a toggle feature to being able to select your powers and your items. That is the biggest complaint. Is if you want to use an item, you got to hold down a button on the D-pad and then use the analog stick to go to that item. And that is incredibly difficult, and you do have to use some health items, in combat, and that's the only way to do it. So if they had a toggle feature, which could let you bring up the menu and then use the analog stick to go to the item you want, and then press the button again to use the item, that would be so helpful. Because when you bring up the item anyway, if I remember correctly, combat stops anyway. So it's not really gonna mess anything up. But that was a big thing. Or maybe make an optional menu where you can scroll through an item bar, so you could press a button and have your button set to a potion or a med kit, and then just press a button to use the med kit. Or if worse came to worse, even being able to go into your start menu and going into your items and just press an A on the health item you need to use, and doing it that way. I know there's several games out there that have done it that way as well, but that is the biggest complaint that I have, besides having to hold down a button to use your powers, is the items. That is because there's no other way to use them unless you hold down that button, go to the item, and then release everything, and it's just so difficult to do. And it's the same way when you want to call for an animal. You can tame animals and you get mechs, and if you want to select which individual animal or mech to use, you got to hold down a button, use the analog stick to go whichever one you want, and then let go for you to get it. And that's just really difficult to do. So if there was a way to make a toggle feature where you don't have to hold down any buttons, just press the button, use your analog stick, and then when you select which one you want, instead of having to hold down the direction and then press the button again, allow you to just flick the stick in the direction you want. It keeps the cursor on the item, the animal, etc., and then press the button again, or you just press the button, flick the stick to what you want, and then it automatically accepts it. That would be so incredibly helpful. Other than that, I got to give them major props. They have an on-screen uh, crosshair, so you can aim without having to hold down a button for iron sights. Actually, there is no iron sights, so you don't have to worry about that whatsoever. They have an auto lock on when you're looking at an enemy. It has an auto lock on feature, which is incredibly handy. The attack buttons are just the face of the control. Super, super easy, super simple, but super effective, and it runs very smooth. Sprinting is what you would expect. You just click the left analog stick, or if you have it mapped to something else, whatever button you have it mapped to, and then the character will sprint. Everything else is very, very crisp. Just the biggest complaints are the having to hold down a button for your items. If you want to do quick change of weapons, got to hold down the weapon button. Pretty much any button on the D-pad, you have to hold down and then use your analog stick, and it's just basically that part of the game I can't really use. Thankfully, when it comes to changing weapons, you can just press the start button and then go into your gear and change it that way. But items, you cannot do that, and that is a big hindrance, very big hindrance. But maybe that's just something down the road to fix. Other than that, the game has been a lot of fun. The remapping of the buttons is very, very well done. It took me by surprise completely. And there's 3 different difficulties. There's easy, normal, and hard. So, if hard is a little too difficult for you, or even normal, you can go to easy. And that was a very nice feature as well. So I got to give them credit. They did a really great job. Just hope that they can work these accessibility features with a toggle function down the road. That would be like night and day. It really would. Other than that, I do recommend this game. I do. It's a lot of fun, and there is a lot to do. So this is Games with Chin, and in the immortal words of one Bill and Ted, be excellent to each other.